In the shadows of ancient Mexico, where pyramids pierced the clouds and sacrifice was a way of life, there existed beings of such tremendous power that merely speaking their names could shake the foundations of the earth. I'm about to take you on a journey into a world where gods walked among mortals, where the sun itself needed human hearts to rise each morning, and where the fate of the universe hung in a delicate balance. What you're about to hear isn't just mythology. It's a tale of power, betrayal, and cosmic forces that would make your modern superhero movies look like children's bedtime stories. These aren't just gods, they're the architects of existence itself. Let me tell you about the pantheon that ruled over one of history's most powerful civilizations, the Aztecs. But be warned, once you know their stories, you can never unknow them. Huitzilopochtli, the supreme solar warrior. Picture this, a god so powerful that he burst forth from his mother's womb fully grown, wearing armor of pure gold and wielding a serpent of fire as his weapon. This is Huitzilopochtli, the left-handed hummingbird, the supreme god of sun and war. But don't let that hummingbird part fool you. In Aztec belief, these weren't the cute little garden visitors you know today. Warriors believed that fallen soldiers would return as hummingbirds, darting through the sky with the same fierce precision they showed in battle. Huitzilopochtli's origin story would make any Hollywood blockbuster pale in comparison. His mother, Tezcatlipoca, was sweeping a temple when a ball of feathers descended from the sky, which she tucked into her bosom. From this divine encounter, she became pregnant. Her other children, led by his sister Xochipilli, saw this as a dishonor and plotted to kill their mother. But the moment they struck, Huitzilopochtli emerged, fully armed and ready for battle. With his weapon, the Xochipilli or turquoise serpent, he defended his mother in an epic battle that ended with his siblings scattered across the sky. His sister became the moon, forever doomed to be destroyed by her brother each dawn, which is why the moon disappears when the sun rises. This wasn't just a story to the Aztecs. It was the reason their empire existed. Huitzilopochtli demanded tribute and sacrifice to maintain the cosmic order, to ensure the sun would continue its journey across the sky. His temple, alongside that of Tlaloc, stood atop the great temple of Tenochtitlan, reaching towards the very heavens he commanded. His powers: control over the sun itself, mastery over warfare, and the ability to inspire unshakable loyalty in his followers. The Aztecs believed that without his strength, the world would plunge into eternal darkness. He was their guiding light, their warrior god, their protector, but also their most demanding deity. Tezcatlipoca, the smoking mirror. Now let me tell you about a god so enigmatic, so powerful, that even the other deities watched their steps around him. Tezcatlipoca, the lord of the smoking mirror, the god who sees all. Imagine a deity who could be anywhere, at any time, watching from every piece of obsidian, every shadow, every reflection in water. They called him the smoking mirror because he replaced his right foot with an obsidian mirror after losing it in a cosmic battle. But this wasn't a weakness. Oh no. Through this mirror, he could see into the hearts and minds of all beings. Think of him as the ultimate cosmic surveillance system, if you will, but with a twist of chaos thrown in for good measure. His power: absolute control over destiny itself. He could grant fortune to mortals one day and snatch it away the next, all while watching their reactions through his network of mirrors and shadows. He was the patron of rulers, but also of thieves, because in his worldview, both were just different sides of the same coin. But here's where it gets really interesting. Tezcatlipoca wasn't just content with being all-powerful, he was also a master of disguise. He could transform into a jaguar at will, stalking through the night, testing mortals' characters when they thought no one was watching. He was everywhere and nowhere, the ultimate cosmic trickster with the power to reshape reality itself. Tlaloc, master of storms. Now, imagine you're an ancient farmer, your crops withering under the merciless sun. Who would you pray to? Enter Tlaloc, the god who could either save your entire civilization or destroy it with a flick of his wrist. Tlaloc wasn't just the god of rain. He was the master of a supernatural paradise called Tlalocan. Think of it as the most exclusive afterlife resort you could imagine. But you could only get in if you died by drowning, lightning, or certain diseases associated with water. Talk about a unique membership policy. His appearance. Picture this: goggle-like eyes, fangs of a jaguar, and a body adorned with the symbols of water and lightning. But don't let that frighten you. Without Tlaloc, there would be no life at all. But here's the fascinating part. Tlaloc had a complex relationship with humanity. He could be incredibly generous, blessing the land with fertile soil and abundant crops. Across him, well, let's just say he had a talent for sending everything from floods to hail to teach mortals a lesson in respect. His powers included control over water in all its forms, from the gentlest morning dew to the most devastating floods. He could summon lightning at will, and was believed to keep souls in his watery paradise. But perhaps his greatest power was the ability to determine whether a civilization would flourish or starve. Talk about having humanity's fate in your hands. Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to perhaps the most fascinating character in our cosmic drama, Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. Imagine a being so magnificent that it combines the beauty of the quetzal bird with the power of a serpent. But this isn't your average snake-bird hybrid story. Picture this: a god who looked at humanity and, instead of demanding sacrifice, taught them art, science, agriculture, and metalworking. He's basically the Tony Stark of Aztec mythology, minus the ego and with a lot more feathers. His very name combines Quetzal, the most beautiful bird in Mesoamerica, and Coatl, meaning serpent. Talk about personal branding. But here's where the story gets really interesting. Quetzalcoatl wasn't just a teacher, he was the creator of humanity itself. According to legend, he journeyed to the underworld, gathered the bones of previous generations, and used his own blood to give life to the current human race. Think of it as the ultimate recycling project, but with cosmic consequences. His powers. Where do I even begin? He could control the winds, summon rain, though he was polite enough to coordinate with Tlaloc on this, and had the ability to resurrect the dead. He was also the patron of knowledge and learning. Imagine having a god as your personal tutor. But even gods can have bad days. In one of the greatest cosmic dramas ever told, Tezcatlipoca, remember our mirror-footed friend? Tricked Quetzalcoatl by showing him his reflection in an obsidian mirror. The sight of his own face so disturbed him that he left his city, promising to return one day. Talk about an identity crisis. Coatlicue, the mother of gods. Now, let me tell you about a goddess so powerful, so primal, that even the other gods thought twice before crossing her. Coatlicue, the lady of the serpent skirt, the mother of gods and stars. Imagine meeting a goddess wearing a skirt made of writhing serpents, a necklace of human hearts and hands, and having claws for hands and feet. But before you judge her fashion choices, remember, this is the mother of the moon, stars, and Huitzilopochtli himself. She's earned the right to dress however she wants. Her power. She's literally the earth itself. Everything that lives, grows, and dies is part of her domain. She's the goddess of life, death, and rebirth, the cosmic recycling system personified. Think of her as Mother Nature, but with a much more intense parenting style. But here's the most fascinating part. Despite her fearsome appearance, Coatlicue represents the most fundamental truth about existence, that life and death are inseparable. From her sacrifice and death came the moon, stars, and sun itself. Talk about leaving a legacy. Xcochipilli, the earth monster. Now, let me tell you about a goddess so primordial that the earth itself is literally her body. Xcochipilli isn't just connected to the earth, she is the earth. And her origin story, well, buckle up, because this is where things get really interesting. Picture the beginning of everything. Two creator gods had to literally split Xcochipilli in half to create the world as we know it. Her back became the earth, her front became the sky, and she wasn't exactly happy about this arrangement. Would you be, if someone split you in half to make a cosmic sandwich? But here's the clever part. To console her, the other gods decreed that all life would eventually return to her. That's why, according to Aztec belief, everything that dies goes into the earth. She's basically running the ultimate recycling program of the universe. Her powers: control over fertility, earthquakes, and the cycles of life and death. Think of her as the ultimate landlord of reality itself. Every plant that grows, that's her hair. Those mountains, her nose and other features. Those caves and crevices, well, let's just say the Aztecs had quite the imagination for cosmic anatomy. Mictlantecuhtli, Lord of the Underworld. Speaking of death, let me introduce you to everyone's favorite underworld ruler, Mictlantecuhtli. Imagine meeting a god who's basically a skeleton covered in blood, wearing a necklace of human eyeballs. Not exactly the kind of deity you'd want to meet in a dark alley, or anywhere really. But here's the thing. Despite his frightening appearance, Mictlantecuhtli wasn't evil. He was more like a cosmic bureaucrat, managing the souls of those who died of natural causes. Think of him as the DMV clerk of the afterlife, but with significantly better fashion sense. His domain, Mictlan, wasn't just any underworld. It was a 9-level cosmic obstacle course that souls had to navigate over 4 years. We're talking about crossing rivers of blood, climbing mountains of knives, and dealing with winds sharp enough to slice stone. And you thought your morning commute was rough. His powers: complete control over the dead, the ability to cause disease, think of it as aggressive recruitment, and the power to make the living seriously reconsider their life choices. He could also appear in the world of the living, usually around crossroads at midnight, because apparently being Lord of the Dead wasn't dramatic enough. But perhaps his most important role was maintaining the balance between life and death. Without him, the cycle of existence would break down. He was the necessary darkness that gave meaning to light, the end that made beginnings possible. Tonatiuh, the fifth sun. Let's talk about the god who literally keeps the lights on in the universe. Tonatiuh, the ruler of the fifth and final sun. Imagine a deity so radiant that even looking at his image required serious sunglasses, if the Aztecs had them. Here's something mind-bending. The Aztecs believed we're living in the fifth version of the world, each previous one destroyed in increasingly spectacular ways. Tonatiuh runs this fifth world, and let me tell you, his job description is intense. He has to cross the sky every single day, fighting off darkness and keeping cosmic chaos at bay. Picture a god with blazing golden hair, carrying a shield that radiates pure sunlight. His face is painted in striking red, and he's usually shown sticking out his tongue, which isn't him being rude, by the way. It's actually a knife, symbolizing his need for spiritual sustenance to keep the cosmos running. His powers: besides being literally the sun itself, he controls warmth, light, and the energy that sustains all life. Think of him as a cosmic battery that never runs out, as long as he's properly maintained, that is. Xochipilli, the moon goddess. Now, let me tell you about one of the most tragic figures in Aztec mythology, Xochipilli, the goddess of the moon. Remember that sister I mentioned who tried to kill Huitzilopochtli's mother? Well, this is her, and her story is absolutely fascinating. Picture a warrior goddess, beautiful and powerful, adorned with bells of gold. Her name literally means painted with bells, and she led an army of star gods against her yet-to-be-born brother. Talk about family drama. After her defeat and dismemberment by Huitzilopochtli, told you these stories weren't for the faint of heart. She became the moon, doomed to be destroyed by her brother's light every morning and reformed every night. It's basically the world's longest-running sibling rivalry, played out in the sky every single day. Her powers: control over the night sky, influence over feminine energy, and the ability to affect the tides. She's also associated with change and transformation, fitting for someone who goes through a complete cycle of destruction and renewal every month. Mixcoatl, the cloud serpent. Let me introduce you to the cosmic hunter himself, Mixcoatl, god of the hunt and the Milky Way. Imagine a deity who painted his body red and white, wore a black mask around his eyes like some celestial superhero, and carried a bundle of arrows that never missed their mark. Mixcoatl isn't just any hunting god. He's the one who shot the sun into the sky with his cosmic bow. Think about that next time you see a sunrise. He's also the father of Quetzalcoatl, which makes for some interesting father-son camping trips, I imagine. His domain includes not just hunting, but also the stars themselves. The Milky Way, that's his game trail across the night sky. He's basically the original master of both terrestrial and celestial hunting grounds. His powers: perfect accuracy with any weapon, control over animal behavior, and the ability to navigate using the stars. He could also summon game animals and control the winds that carry the scent of prey. Think of him as the ultimate wilderness god, but with cosmic-level abilities. Quetzalcoatl, the winds god. Let's talk about the god who could literally take your breath away. Quetzalcoatl, the god of winds. Now you might be thinking, wasn't Quetzalcoatl the winds god? Well, here's where it gets interesting. Quetzalcoatl is actually an aspect of Quetzalcoatl, but with his own unique identity and powers. Picture a deity wearing a duckbill mask, the original duck face, if you will, with the power to blow away the rain clouds or summon them at will. He's the cosmic breath that set the sun in motion at the beginning of the fifth world. Without him, our sun would just sit there like a cosmic couch potato. His temples? Round buildings with no corners, because try catching the wind in a corner. It's not happening. The Aztecs were so dedicated to this architectural concept that they built his temples in a cylindrical shape, creating the world's first aerodynamic religious buildings. His powers: besides controlling every aspect of wind and air, he could sweep the paths clean for the rain gods, and was essential in carrying prayers to the other deities. Think of him as the cosmic postal service, but way more efficient and with better special effects. Tezcatlipoca, the Venus god. Now, let me tell you about a god so dangerous that the Aztecs feared his very appearance in the sky. Tezcatlipoca, the Lord of the Dawn, the deadly aspect of Venus. And yes, I had to practice saying that name several times. Imagine a deity so powerful that his rays could cause disease and misfortune. When Venus appeared as the morning star, warriors and priests would take cover. This god was basically the cosmic equivalent of that person who's way too energetic in the morning. Except his morning person energy could actually harm you. His powers: he could shoot darts at the sun and moon, control the transition between night and day, and influence the fate of warriors and kings. Think of him as the universe's most dangerous alarm clock, When he says it's time to wake up, you don't hit snooze. Xuchitlicue, the Fire Lord. Let's heat things up with Xuchitlicue, the Lord of Fire and Time. Imagine a god so ancient that they called him the Old God, despite depicting him as a young warrior with a painted face the color of flames. This isn't just any fire deity. He's the center of the universe itself, standing at the cosmic hearth where time began. The Aztecs believed he lived in the turquoise enclosure at the center of the earth, keeping the world warm and time flowing properly. His powers: control over all fire, from the humble cooking flame to volcanic eruptions. He could grant long life, heal illnesses, and was essential in transforming ordinary objects into sacred ones through fire. Think of him as the original master of transformation, the cosmic blacksmith who forges reality itself. Xochipilli, our Lord the Flayed One. Now let me introduce you to perhaps the most visually striking god in the Aztec pantheon, Xochipilli, the god of spring and renewal. And before you ask, yes, his appearance was exactly as intense as his title suggests. Imagine a deity who represented the way a seed must shed its outer layer to grow, or how a snake must shed its skin to renew itself. Xochipilli took this concept to a whole new level. He was depicted wearing the skin of a sacrificial victim, representing the earth putting on a new coat of vegetation in spring. But don't let that intimidate you. He was actually one of the most positive deities in the pantheon. His powers: he could cure diseases, especially skin conditions, ironically, ensure bountiful harvests, and was the patron of goldsmiths. Think of him as the ultimate makeover artist of the natural world. Everything he touched would be renewed and transformed. Xochipilli, the Flower Prince. And now for something completely different. Meet Xochipilli, the Prince of Flowers, god of art, games, beauty, dance, flowers, and song. If the Aztec pantheon had a party planner, this would be your guide. Picture a young, handsome god covered in flower paintings, wearing a mask of butterfly wings, surrounded by psychedelic morning glories and other sacred plants. He was basically the original flower child, but with divine powers and much better accessories. His powers: he could inspire artistic creativity, induce ecstatic states, and bring pleasure and beauty into the world. He was also associated with the sun's heat and summer abundance. Every artist, poet, or musician in the Aztec world looked to him for inspiration. And so we come to the end of our journey through the Aztec pantheon. But remember, these gods aren't just ancient myths gathering dust in history books. They represent fundamental forces that still shape our world today: the rising sun, the falling rain, the changing seasons, the cycle of life and death.